I built a workshop with Harbor Freight tools so you didn't have to. Let's review. Now before you go say I'm just another Harbor Freight fanboy, here are some other tools that I use. Milwaukee, DeWalt, Bosch. I use all kinds of tools, and I only want the highest quality tools that I can get. So during this review, we're going to rate every tool 1 through 5, 5 being the best and 0 being the worst. Let's get into it. First off, let's check out the Hercules table saw. One thing I think is very important in a table saw is a rack and pinion style fence. That's one thing that's great about this one. It is a 10-inch blade, and this can be moved to a 45-degree angle. It does have measurements on top that can be used with the rack and pinion fence. This makes it very easy to get repeatable cuts. On the side here, there's a wrench that you use to change the blade, and also a lock that locks the fence. It's very smooth and easy to turn. One thing I really love about this saw is the placement of the push stick. It also has a 3-inch dust port, and one thing that's great about the Hercules tools are these cords that they come with. Very, very durable. I've had this saw for 3 years, not a scratch, not a cut, nothing. They never bind on anything, and it's just a great feature. Now these miter gauges are negative, but they're negative on every saw. You can see there it was 91 degrees, and that is how I made it parallel at 91. It's never really perfect. None of these miter gauges are very good. I always recommend upgrading. Recently I built this bench for this saw. I still need to put T-tracks in here. I'm going to have them going all the way across and left and right. Now let's do some cuts and see how square this thing is. This thing does cut square, and it cuts square out of the box. I've had it for 3 years. It's a well put together saw, built tough. I really do like it. I think it's a great saw, and that price under $400 is really nice too. Now we have the 14-gallon Bauer shop vac. Since this video, Bauer had came out with a new shop vac, and now they have a 16-gallon instead of the 14-gallon, but we're going to use the 14 in this video. What I'm going to do is I'm going to take 5 gallons of water and see just how fast we can suck it up. .2 seconds, about 2 seconds per 1 gallon. Not bad at all. I'm curious, how do you get the water out of these hoses when you do this?
We headed to the bar, baby, don't be nervous. No shoes, no shirt, and I still get service. Wow! Girl, look at that body. Girl, look at that body.
Overall, I give it 4.5 stars. Now, right off the gate, I can tell you there is not much at all that I can say bad about these parallel clamps. They are honestly great tools, and they're very cheap. I would say they work just as well as any other parallel clamp on the market that I've used. I would say the Jorgensen are a little bit beefier, but I haven't had these to bow or bend, and I have used a lot of pressure on these for some very big projects. I would say that these really are the best bang for your buck parallel clamps on the market, not even close. And I'm not the only one to say something like that. If you know 731 Woodworks, Matt Outlaw, he said something very similar about these. He praised them pretty well. I think they are excellent, excellent tools. And if you have just a regular wood shop and you need parallel clamps, these are so much cheaper than the Jorgensen, and they've lasted. I've had these for at least a year now, and I mean they come perfectly square as soon as you get them, and they've done great for me in my shop. Very simple to use. Push it down just like that. Screw it in. Tighten it down, and if you want to loosen it up, all you do is pull on the handle, go up and down. Really easy, square, strong, sturdy, no bends, no bows. They've worked really great for my shop, and honestly, out of all the tools, I would say this one may perform at the highest level of all the tools. Next up, the Bauer Spindle Sander. Let's be very clear right off the bat. This machine is the exact same as the Grizzly Spindle Sander. I can't prove it, but if you know things about tools and power tools, brands do this all the time. I mean, the same buttons, the same knobs, everything on this machine is the exact same except the color. Now, this is a tool I haven't got to use too much, but I have used it enough to get a good feel for it. My favorite thing about it is just how lightweight it is, but it's also very durable, and there's these sticky pads on the bottom. It doesn't move at all when you're using it. It's really lightweight and compact, so you can store it really anywhere. I store it underneath my planer stand, which is really convenient. It just rolls around the shop, and I get it out whenever I need. All the components on this are very easy to get to, and they also are very easy to install. It just takes a moment. You can change them out, use them, and then put another one in. got a little bit of noise, but it's not too loud. The top is a very hard plastic. It's not cast iron, which helps with the weight on this machine. Now to move this, just take this knob off. Very easy. And when you're ready to put on a new belt sander, you just slide it in right there and then take that knob and screw it in. And then it's ready to go. Here's me doing just a little bit of sanding so you can see how well it works. I give the Spindle Sander a 4.5 out of 5. Just like Grizzly, I think this is a fantastic tool. I think both those tools are the same, and it's a great add to the shop. Next up, the Hercules miter saw. Right here, I'm installing my saw onto my miter stand. Personally, I think you should have a miter stand if you have a miter saw. I know a lot of shops have stationary benches that they use for their miter saw, but personally, I use my saw in the shop, out of the shop. I take it places. It's something just really good to have. And if you go with the Hercules saw, the Hercules miter stand is excellent as well. It folds up very easy. It also can be stored at a vertical upright position. And then if you need it after it's already folded up, you can just lay it down on the ground like this, and you don't actually have to use the legs. So this is one of the biggest problems with miter saws in a shop, especially a smaller shop. Sliding miter saws come out very far. This comes out 43 inches. As you can see, that's just really far from the wall and would take up so much space. I'm just not willing to give that up in my shop yet. It's definitely a big negative, but Hercules has a great miter saw stand that is mobile. It stands up on its own. It's great for storage. I just take mine and roll it outside and usually cut with my miter saw outside. Other than that, there are no flaws in this saw. I have made thousands of cuts with this thing, and it has performed as good as any saw I've ever used. I've used just about every brand, Milwaukee, DeWalt, Makita, and none of them perform better than this saw. This one easily performs just as well as those, and it came at a 90 degree as soon as it came out of the box. Every cut is straight, every 45 is a perfect 45, and I'm going to give this saw a 5 out of 5 stars. I already did a full review on the planer on my channel, and you can watch that right here.
No shoes, no shirt, and I still get service. Wow.